I will close by saying this. I talked to Scott about this earlier today when we were shooting the Bill Whittle Now. I've been doing this for 11 years, this video content. And earlier today, at around 8:30 or 9 in the morning, when we'd finished shooting the 2 Bill Whittle Nows that we did this morning, I was talking with Scott on the Skype connection. And I was telling him that the podcast for the Apollo thing was doing very well, but the video hits were not at all. I mean, part 2 or 3 were seen by 15,000 people maybe. I was hoping to get millions of people watching this, but that's the way it goes. But we were talking about the fact that if we do more of these with Daily Wire, they would be podcasts, and that there would not be the kind of video production that we did, really no video production at all, because everything took time. All of the work and effort, in terms of time, 80% of it, 90% of it, was the video editing and putting the picture together. So going forward, that's just not going to happen. Talking with Scott this morning about podcasts and stuff, 11 years after starting this, today, at about 9 o'clock in the morning, was the first time I realized that I am not in the video business. How could I not have seen this? I mean, honestly, how could I be this insanely dense about this? This is not video. This isn't video. Right Angle isn't video. Bill Whittle Now isn't video. Even the firewalls aren't video. I'm not in the video business. I'm in the radio business. And I just didn't know. I just never been in radio. I've always dealt with video. Obviously we do these things as videos, but nobody watches Stratosphere Lounge to watch me talk. Certainly nobody watches Right Angle, let's say, because of the shocking video quality. I mean, people like what they're hearing, and while I think the video component is important these days, nevertheless, it's just incredible to me that I could go 11 years without realizing that I am essentially putting out an audio product. What a shock that was. What I think we will do, well, needless to say, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. But what I think we will do, well, first of all, we'll have to improve the audio quality, as Scott points out. He says there's some very bad podcasts out there, but he doesn't want to be one of them. Scott was talking about podcasts for years. Scott was talking seriously about podcasts when he started, kind of wrote in and helped save the situation, and not helped, when he saved the situation here 6-7 months ago. But it occurred to me that really what we should do is that we should do a podcast. We'll do all the videos. Everything's going to stay the way it is. But podcasts are successful, and I know nothing about podcasts because I don't listen to them. Ben Shapiro shows a podcast. All of them are podcasts, and I'm just here like some kind of idiot, like just can't figure it out. So we were talking about the idea that we would because the members are so determined to get this content out there. What I think is this. I think what we need to do is we need to say that everything that we do is going to be available to the general public, but podcasts in podcast form will be for members only. There'll be nothing different about them. They will be we're just going to strip the audio off of the video, but to put it in podcast form where it can be easily downloaded, and to do it in venues where people who already like podcasts can get to them. Instead of charging people for podcasts, we're just going to have a link to the podcast, and that'll be a members only link. And I think that's potentially really, really, really clever. I really can't. I just can't believe it's taken as long as I did. It really, really, really shocks me. But that's that's what you get. I come from a film background, filmmaking background, and I'm an image guy, and I love the computer graphics, and audio has always just been kind of an afterthought for me. And it's going to come as a complete shock to people who are utterly spellbound by the audio quality that we produce here. But yeah, I think we could really build a podcast audience, and we have not done that only because yours truly is denser than the black shirt he's wearing, just this disembodied head floating against the back door here. So what I learned was this. The Apollo 11 series was made clear to me from the beginning, and I agreed with this completely. It's not like it took a lot of arm twisting. It was made clear to me that I was writing a podcast. In fact, there was serious discussion about whether or not we would do any video editions at all. In fact, the mere fact that they manufactured the set and spent the money on the set that they did was kind of an afterthought to all of this. So I look at the video numbers and I'm just heartbroken. I'm not too damn heartbroken, though, because I think this work's going to be around for a long time, and I didn't do it for numbers, and I didn't do it for the money. I did the Apollo program. Well, as you'll find out tomorrow, I did it for Neil Armstrong, and I did it for all the rest of those guys, and Burt Rutan and Ed White and all those guys. It was something I owed them, I feel. But it was intended from the beginning to be a podcast, and I wrote it as a podcast. It turned out that the video turned out great, but you don't have to see it to like it. And the point I'm trying to make here is that while the video, I thought, did just terribly, as a podcast, it premiered at number 3 in the world on iTunes and has apparently remained in top 5. That's a pretty big debut, and those numbers are exclusively a tribute to the marketing and advertising and promotional skills over at Daily Wire. So I really think that we're still searching, trying to find a way to get this thing cash positive over the long term. That's just all I want. I don't, I'm perfectly happy in my house and stuff. I don't own anything, but certainly I certainly enjoy the life I'm living. But we just got to, the business has to be cash flow positive, and we're not. And I suspect that the reason we're not is because the person who the company's named after was too stupid to realize that he's fishing in the wrong medium. He's put all of his energies into something that is not where the interest is, and so small wonder that the finances are just very, very difficult. But writing the Apollo thing, as opposed to what I do on Stratosphere Lounge, which is just free association, reminded me that even though it's been quite a long time, I've still got the chops to be able to tell a good story, especially if I can get out of first person singular. So I think that's probably where we're going to end up going. And I think that's a perfectly fair and good deal. That we'll continue to put out the videos, and that they'll be available to everybody. And but there has to be something for the members. It's not just a tote bag. It's not just a means of thank you, like like the members only version of Right Angle, which the members said, no, some of these are really good. You ought to really put them out. It's not a question of, I think we need to do this just for members because members deserve their tote bag. I think we need to do it because I think there's enough interest in people having easy access to the audio side of it, where $9.95 a month would be a pretty good deal for 50 podcasts a month. In any event, we will find out. We put up a new right angle. I uploaded it today. Scott's been working like an animal, and I have 2 more thumbnails that I have to do for the other 2, and I have to output those 2. We do have 3 Bill Whittle nows that are ready to go. I can tell you that that there's been an awful lot of delays, and needless to say, I think it's probably the 4th week without a firewall. But I had the feeling when I was, stretching the elastic, which was the time when I wasn't producing firewalls and hadn't produced the Apollo stuff either. I had a good feeling that when people saw the amount of work that was going into what I was doing, that they would forgive us the loss of those firewalls, and I certainly hope that's still the case. I am extremely proud of these, and I also can't tell you how nice it is. Finally, instead of been doing this for 11 years, it's true. How nice it is for me to finally, after 11 years, not live under the shadow of having the best thing I ever did be the first thing I ever did. That's not a fun thing at all. But that afterburner on the atomic bombs was just the best work I'd ever done until now. I love the series, and part 4 I think part 4 is well, it's certainly the best thing I've ever written, and in this format, I'm not sure how I'm going to find something to top it. Needless to say, there's a lot of stories out there to tell, and I think it's a good format, and I think it's good for me not to ramble like this. I just get in front of the typewriter, start cranking out the story, and the story moves, and then we can edit it and cut it down. I hope to make the shooting script of the Apollo series available for members. I'd like to make a digital download of the videos available to members as well. But hang on a sec. Yeah, that was a great point there, Troy. So, moving to a podcast-based model is not a great deal of work. It's work, which means money, but it's not crazy difficult. It's just time-consuming. Telling the story of Apollo was great because I had not been asked about this, but I promised myself that I would be as scrupulous as I could possibly be about pulling politics out of this completely. I wanted this to be something anybody could watch, and I feel like I did a good job of that too. And the shooting script, the script that I wrote, I think they probably cut. I bet they cut 30% of it at least, which doesn't surprise me or you either. But to be able to offer the script as it was written would mean that you would get a lot of content that didn't make it into the podcast. And most of the stuff in fact, the cutting that they did is excellent. If I can't tell where something's cut, and all I know is, hey, what happened to that bit? Then great, and it certainly needed it. I'm very grateful for them for doing that cut. But also, there's a lot of stuff that did get cut that I thought was really pretty interesting, or else I wouldn't have written about it in the first place. The thing that this Apollo thing has done for me is it's given me, I love that hashtag, Eric Blake has a hashtag, release the Whittle cut. It's a whole perspective for me to look at and something for me to think about. And I would love to continue doing them with Daily Wire, and I think that whether that works or not, I'm gonna continue doing these kind of things because I think I was thinking about this thing so much for the last 6 weeks, and I remember thinking, boy, I really feel like I should be doing something political. And then it hit me hard that I am doing something political, telling the truth, with telling the truth energetically, and providing the ammunition to make it stick, is a good thing to do. And I actually, this was kind of a halfway house between the political commentary I've been doing and what I want to do with those video game segments. I love, even though this Apollo thing was mostly first person singular, it was nice to be able to get out of it and have people bring in stuff. Like, my favorite part of the edits that the editors did was, I thought, and then came Apollo 12, and then they show some newsreel footage. The Apollo 12 mission was designed, and it's like, it just really great, breaks it up. It's fantastic. I learned a lot of stuff on this episodes that I didn't know. But anyway, I think that's probably a place where we're probably gonna go. Give it a try anyway.